On March 15, 1981, at 11:42 p.m. in Charlotte, North Carolina, a night nurse checking room 347 at the Piedmont Mental Health Center found that Mark Thomas, a patient who had been hospitalized for 15 years, had disappeared without a trace. The night nurse, while looking around, found a transfer document on the cabinet next to Thomas's bed. The document stated that Thomas had been transferred to the Craigstaff Sanatorium. What was even more bizarre was that no one had ever heard of a hospital with that name, and no records of it existed. Afterward, similar incidents occurred one after another throughout the southeastern United States. In Greenville, South Carolina, Danville, Virginia, and Johnson City, Tennessee, patients at local mental hospitals evaporated at a moment when no one was watching, and a transfer document to the Craigstaff Sanatorium was invariably left next to their beds. After 4 years of these strange disappearances, a federal agency belatedly began an investigation. However, one organization was already one step ahead, the SCP Foundation. The SCP Foundation is a secret organization that covertly secures, contains, and protects supernatural or anomalous entities found around the world, and controls their existence so that they do not become known to the public. They deal with objects, phenomena, places, creatures, and humans that are beyond the limits of science and reason, known as SCPs. The Foundation focused on the recurring hospital name in all the transfer records and searched the entire area of North Carolina where the first disappearance was recorded. And they finally discovered the Craigstaff Sanatorium 50 kilometers west of Hudson Town. It was a brick structure with ivy covering its exterior walls. The rusty sign at the front gate was gone, but the aura emanating from beyond held an unexplainable ominousness. What was even more surprising was that the existence of this building was not recorded in any administrative records. When it was built, who operated it, and when it was closed, everything was shrouded in a thick fog. The Foundation officially designated the patient abduction phenomenon as SCP-3054 and the Craigstaff Sanatorium as SCP-3054. Subsequent investigations yielded no significant results. The abduction incidents did not stop, and the influence of SCP-3054 expanded at a frightening rate each year. Between 1986 and the 2000s, this phenomenon of hospitalized mental patients being abducted was confirmed to have a radius of 1,200 kilometers, and by 2009, it was occurring throughout the entire North American continent. Through the Foundation's research, one clear pattern emerged. The length of hospitalization was not important. Patients who had been hospitalized for 15 years and those who had only been there for 3 weeks both disappeared. The only two important conditions were: 1. The patient must be a diagnosed mental illness patient hospitalized in a mental hospital. 2. The patient must not be observed by anyone at the moment of disappearance. However, there was a strange point. Tens of thousands of patients across North America met these conditions, yet only a small fraction of them actually disappeared. After analyzing 911 abduction cases, Foundation researcher Dr. Misa proposed a startling hypothesis: SCP-3054, like an actual hospital, was managing its capacity and deliberately controlling the number of patients. To clarify this anomaly, Foundation mobile task forces and agents conducted several thorough searches of the Craigstaff Sanatorium. But all they found was a dusty, old, abandoned hospital facility. Soon, surveillance cameras were installed around the Craigstaff Sanatorium, and security personnel guarded the area 24/7 to block civilian access. Their mission was simple: protect the SCP-3054 research team and monitor for any additional anomalous phenomena. The research was led by Dr. Marcus Whitfield, and under his supervision, a young 29-year-old researcher, James Morrison, conducted various experiments with his team. Underscore 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 underscore. The third experiment was concluding at the Foundation's field research base west of Hudson Town, North Carolina, near the Craigstaff Sanatorium. Due to a full day of research into the activation conditions of the anomaly, various measuring equipment and experimental tools were scattered everywhere, and a researcher named Julia Owens was quietly tidying up alone. Her colleague, James Morrison, had already returned to the research base an hour earlier on Dr. Marcus Whitfield's orders. It was as Julia was muttering to herself while backing up data that she heard a sound coming from the Craigstaff Sanatorium. At first, it sounded like tree branches rustling in the wind, but the sound was clearly coming from inside the building. Over the past few months of working here, Julia had never set foot inside the Craigstaff Sanatorium herself. Due to the Foundation's strict regulations, internal investigations were impossible without authorization from superiors and an accompanying mobile task force. So, Julia was always curious about the identity of this mysterious building connected to 912 disappearance cases. Her colleague, Morrison, had participated in several internal investigations on Dr. Marcus's orders and always returned saying the same thing: it's just a dusty, old abandoned hospital. There's nothing to see. I don't know why the doctor keeps ordering us to investigate. Julia remembered Morrison's voice, laced with frustration, and thought that there would be no harm in just going in to check. The heavy wooden door of the hospital's main gate surprisingly opened easily, and she stepped inside. At the research base, Morrison was nervously checking his watch. Even though she was meticulous, it was strange for her to be there alone this late. Please search the area around Craigstaff. I can't reach researcher Julia, he said. The CCTV screens showed only the quiet forest. Just then, his phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, he sighed in relief. Hello. Morrison. It's me, Julia. Julia. Where are you? I was looking for you. I entered SCP-3054-A. What? Are you crazy? You're violating regulations and will be disciplined. Get out of there now. I wasn't supposed to bring personal items, but I managed to sneak my phone in. Wait, Julia, what are you talking about? No one said you can't have personal items. There's no such regulation. I don't know, it's confusing. I opened the door and suddenly I was in a patient room, and the door is locked, I can't get out. Julia, what floor, what room? I'll send the mobile task force right away. I think it's the second floor. You said it was an abandoned hospital, Morrison. It's clean in here, like it was just built. The call suddenly cut off. Morrison was confused by Julia's words. The inside of Craigstaff had been nothing but dust and ruins, but she said she was in a clean patient room. A 10-person mobile task force was immediately sent into the sanatorium, but they couldn't find Julia. The task force members only saw the old, abandoned hospital they were used to. The clean patient room and bizarre medical staff that Julia had described were nowhere to be found. This was the same result as previous rescue operations, but Dr. Whitfield had still gone ahead with the plan just in case. He concluded that Julia had been abducted into a different dimension of the Craigstaff Sanatorium. All rescue operations were stopped, and Dr. Whitfield returned to the research base. Then, he checked a text message Julia had sent a few minutes ago. Hey, Julia here. Battery is low, so this is a quick update. Met a doctor today. Talked for 20 minutes. I asked when I can leave. The doctor said I can leave when I'm all cured. What the hell? I asked what he meant by that. He said that's for him to decide. I told him I'm fine and already cured. But the doctor ignored me, saying I was lying. I asked if any of the patients ever got discharged. He didn't answer. That monstrous doctor is treating me like I'm crazy. The message cut off. Whitfield, worried about the disturbed Julia, immediately wrote a reply: be careful. Say what they want to hear. You know it's not a person. Yes, I'll act well. Just hang in there a little longer. I'm making a plan to get you out of there. Is that even possible? The fact that we can contact each other means there's a way. Please hurry. The food here is awful. I have to go now. I hear footsteps. After that, Whitfield accessed the Foundation's internet to re-examine her personnel file and looked over her basic information, education, career, and interview records. Everything was the profile of an ordinary new researcher. He even checked Julia's first interview record stored in the administrative office, and his eyes stopped at one sentence: Julia Owens has a history of mental health counseling. Whitfield urgently searched his files, checked Julia's final assignment form, and the mental health section was blank. It was a mistake by the Record Security Administration and the Human Resources team. The Human Resources team had checked the box, but the Record Security Administration had failed to verify it, so the record was missing. Such incidents were not uncommon. The verification process for researchers and agents who joined the Foundation was not as strict as it was for Mobile Task Force members. People who wanted to face or research anomalous entities were rarely people who had lived ordinary lives, and more importantly, people were dying all the time, so there was a constant shortage of personnel. However, in this situation, that laxity had led to a fatal mistake. Whitfield immediately requested that the Record Security Administration re-examine all of Julia's pre-employment medical records. Julia Owens, 19 years old, diagnosis, schizophrenia. Symptoms, hallucinations and paranoia. Doctor, did you check the data you requested? Is this really that big of a problem? The mission report says she seems to have completely recovered now, someone asked. Whitfield, who had hung up the phone, immediately opened the SCP-3054 research file and began to revise the anomalous conditions section. He added a note: additional information, although unverified, there is a possibility that the abduction phenomenon may also occur if a person with a history of mental illness enters 3054-A. Soon after, the doctor sent Julia a few text messages. There was a mistake in the assignment process, and I didn't know you were diagnosed with schizophrenia. You are the only person assigned here who has a history of a mental illness diagnosis, and that's why you were abducted. After sending the message, the doctor put his phone down and waited for a reply. However, as time passed, no reply came. He considered calling but held back, thinking that such an attempt might put Julia in danger. A few days passed, and the rescue operation made no progress. Then, a text message alert sounded on Dr. Whitfield's phone. I only had a brief consultation at the time and was never hospitalized. Oh, but that's good. It's great that you found something. I really want to get out. Are you alright? You don't sound good. I've been sleeping a lot lately because of the medication. These crazy guys won't leave the room until I take my medicine. I thought about resisting, but if you saw what they look like, you'd understand. Don't worry, you're only here for treatment, and we'll be sure to cure you. So much has happened. I get to talk with other patients for an hour a day, and a person named Jerry says you can get out if you submit a petition. Of course, he laughed and said no one has succeeded, but what do I have to lose? I have to try something. I'll contact you again. I'm so sleepy. Keep in touch, and if you find anything special, be sure to tell me. A few days later, Whitfield was finishing a video conference with Foundation headquarters. His phone buzzed with a flurry of messages, at a much faster pace than usual. A petition? What's the point? They doubled my medicine and banned me from the lounge. Those monsters are scolding me for not being well behaved. It's so creepy, those monsters acting like they're people. The doctor says my face keeps changing. Screw you. You're the crazy ones. I'm so scared. What can I do in this insane hospital? What do I do when my battery runs out? Is contact with Morrison still forbidden? Why? You can't even help me. Julia, calm down. Please. We are trying. No, doctor, you don't understand. I'm going to be stuck here for the rest of my life. I'm sorry. It's my fault for setting foot in this damn hospital. Please, just keep taking my calls. Whitfield put his phone on the desk, and his face was no longer filled with worry but with deep contemplation. As he was writing something in his notepad, the laboratory door opened abruptly. "Doctor, I will now be in charge of contacting Julia and participating in the rescue operation. Please give me permission." "That's a very good idea. But Morrison, this isn't a school. If you want to show humanity, find another job. One dose of amnestics will clean up your memories neatly. If you don't want that, then use your head to figure out how we can learn more about the internal mechanisms of 3054, through her." "What do you mean by that? Didn't you also worry about Julia? Have I not experienced this before? It's a sad thing, but Morrison, what are you going to do if other agents or mobile task force members die or become like Julia by repeatedly sending them in to save one researcher with a history of schizophrenia? It's my duty to protect the Foundation agents here. I will be faithful to my role, and you should be faithful to yours. But Doctor, Julia is our colleague. You still don't know what it means to work for the Foundation. We are all expendable at any time. Julia, you, and I are all the same. The best we can do is to get as much information as possible so that our expendability is not in vain." Morrison could no longer argue, and he quietly lowered his head and left the lab. Whitfield, left alone, picked up his notepad again. Increased medication dosage, restricted patient communication, observation of the subject's psychological breakdown process needed. At 1:20 a.m., the small research base near the Craigstaff Sanatorium was quiet. Morrison, unable to sleep, was watching Craigstaff from the control room. While Dr. Whitfield had gone to a nearby room to get some rest, his phone for communication rang, and Morrison answered it. "I escaped. I escaped. I really escaped. Morrison, isn't this the doctor's number? He's asleep. Finally, I escaped. Julia, I'll send the mobile task force to surround the forest around the hospital. Run towards the forest. Got it. Julia, where are you? Wait, Morrison, let me catch my breath. I don't see any light yet. How on earth did you escape? I hid the pills under my tongue for 2 days and pretended to swallow them. And I tore off the iron bars. They didn't budge before. Wait a minute. I see a light. Kappa 7, Julia says she's running towards your location. Do you see her? We don't see anything. Is this authorized by Dr. Whitfield? Yes, it is. Wait, did any team see Julia? No, Julia, no. What's wrong, Julia? This is impossible. I'm in front of the hospital's main gate. How can I be in front of the main gate? It's impossible. Morrison, please save me. Please, please. 3 days passed since Julia's escape attempt failed, and contact with her was completely cut off. Dr. Whitfield sent a few text messages, but there was no reply. He had already concluded that Julia was dead and could no longer be contacted. But Morrison was different. Maybe the battery died? I need to check. Despite the order, he made several calls, but only his voice echoed into the empty air. Morrison, I can understand you using my name to deploy the mobile team. It was justified. You could have succeeded in the rescue. But this is unacceptable. This wasn't just simple camaraderie. Is this some kind of romance? I'll give you a 2-week vacation. When you return, you will be assigned to a different department. Use this time to think about whether working for the Foundation is the right choice for you. This decision is my last courtesy to you. After Morrison left the research base, Whitfield drafted a final report on the Julia abduction incident and sent it to the Council. Soon, a reply arrived from the Council, an order to suspend all direct experiments and research on 3054-A for the time being. As a result, only a minimal number of security guards and a few mobile task force members remained around the Craigstaff Sanatorium to block civilian access, and Dr. Whitfield was preparing to withdraw with other researchers as he organized the research data. Just then, his phone rang. The caller was Julia. "Hello. Julia, are you okay?" "I'm getting better." "Your voice. I understand now. You are just a part of my illness. Today is the day I face my illness and let it go." "What did they inject you with?" "You're not real. You are a voice in my head. They knew everything. That I was communicating with you, that I wasn't taking my medicine. Even my escape was a test to see how sick I was." Yes, I understand. They have a message for you." "What?" "For you, for your superiors, for your superiors' superiors, and for everyone above. You are sick. You are broken. We will fix you ourselves." The entire research base began to shake with an unknown force. Then, everything suddenly stopped, and the call was terminated. After the incident report, the Foundation immediately prepared a special containment room. D-class personnel wearing hazmat suits attempted to call Julia, but all attempts failed. The containment level of 3054, which had been unclassified, was elevated to Keter. Whitfield and the Council concluded that 3054 would be difficult to contain stably because the anomalous entity inside the hospital had shown influence in the real world. Some researchers suggested blowing up the Craigstaff Sanatorium, but this proposal was rejected due to concerns that the intermittent abduction phenomena might spread uncontrollably. Instead, it was decided that a large-scale surveillance team and mobile task force members would be permanently stationed around the Craigstaff Sanatorium, and a concrete containment wall would be built around it. A while later, most of the members had gathered at the operations base for the redeployment of surveillance agents, and only a few agents were left to maintain minimal surveillance around the Craigstaff Sanatorium. Technicians from the construction base management team were walking around the hospital with surveying equipment to check the wall installation points. Everything looked routine and peaceful. However, at 2:47 p.m., a massive explosion occurred at the Craigstaff Sanatorium. Dr. Whitfield was presenting a report on the enhanced containment plan for 3054. Just then, a message arrived on his phone. He was about to ignore it but stopped when he saw that the sender was Morrison. "If you are reading this, a commotion has already broken out, right? Doctor, you said we were expendable, didn't you? Thinking about it, you were right. So, as an expendable, I'm going to help with the research. With Julia. Don't think it's creepy. A one-sided crush is not a sin, is it? I took grenades and a gun from the research base. You didn't block my access card, so thank you, really. Oh, and I had a psychiatric consultation during my vacation. When I told them about my experiences at the Foundation, they quickly gave me a diagnosis. Anyway, I'm going in to help Julia. Whether I come back or not, I'll leave it to fate. Julia.